Hello, everybody. My name is Barry Johns, and this is Studio Talk, and I want to welcome you back to the episode that talks about where I screwed up royally. Let's get to it. All right. So what is this screw up that I did that cost me a bunch of money for this thing, these passions I have in my life, okay? So to tell you that, I got to give you a little bit of context to this story. So hopefully you pay attention to detail and really think things through, because I was in such a rush to get it done. My head was not screwed on right, okay? We're all victim of this from time to time. Sometimes we just want to get it done, and sometimes we have to pay the cost for doing it the way we do it later on. So what is that cost? Well, first, let me give you what was happening. Okay. I got a day job. You actually don't think that I make all my money off this stuff, do you? No, you ain't that stupid. All this stuff gets paid for my day job. And in that day job, of course, they all know that I do this, and I'm pretty good at this ficho thing. All right. So I'm pretty good at that. And so they had a project they wanted to do. They wanted to film some senior leadership orientation spots for our orientation for our team members, okay? And I said, sure, I'll do that. I said, I love stepping outside the boundaries of what I do. Mostly what I do is audio, but video's an equal, man, it's not equal. It's a big part of it, obviously. I got to do that to do this channel. And so they asked me to do these interviews. Okay, so I work in a hotel. That's my real job, okay? And been working in hotels almost 30 years. Okay, let's get to this about what happened. So in these interviews, here are the locations that I was doing these interviews in, okay? And if you didn't know it, audio is really important. I just hate to break that to you, but it is, okay? So I put in, I did the first filming in the lobby of the hotel. Now I work in a major, large convention hotel. This ain't no tiny little thing. This lobby's massive. And there were people everywhere and all kinds of noise. And I'd never really done anything in that kind of environment before. So I did the best I could. I knew I was going to be dealing with noise and background noise and, little inflections here and there. I knew I was going to be dealing with that. So I really focused on my mic placement to get as much of that out as I could. And I used a dead cat over my shotgun microphone to help with some of that. All right. And so, no, not a real dead cat, in case you're curious. It's a little foam thing you put over at the end of the microphone. That's called a dead cat, if you didn't know. Okay, so anyway, that was location numero uno. Now, two of the other locations were just fine. One was in a restaurant, and one was actually in a suite in the hotel, okay? So those were fine. I could control that source pretty good. Didn't have any problems there, okay? The next two I had to do were outside. One of them was at our pool. We have a great pool at the hotel I work at. And so we shot one of the interviews out there. Now, that wasn't as bad because of the time of day we shot. It wasn't very windy. So that one didn't turn out as bad. Didn't need as much work in post. Post is what we do, kind of when you're mixing, that's post. But the last one was our managing to the director, the top jefe, the numero uno guy. We wanted to do that outside in front of the hotel with all kinds of cars driving by. It happened to be windy that day. And we were just rolling with it. And they really wanted that shot over some of the others that I did for him inside. And they really wanted that one. So I was stuck with having to make that work. Okay. So now you got it. I've got some really nasty audio that needs to be cleaned up where you don't hear anything but the dialogue. That's it. Nothing else. Now you say, Barry, we're into studio stuff. This is video stuff. Why do we care about that stuff? Audio's audio, baby. I don't care what you're doing. Audio's audio. And you got to learn to capture it right under any environment, okay? So I own a suite for this, what I normally do for this, called Isotope RX. I actually had version 8 standard. I didn't think there was enough to warrant going to RX9. Recently, they did that upgrade. I'll wait and do the next one. That was my thought process. And that does the majority of what I need to do. It'll take out my breast. It'll take out basic, very minor background noise AC unit that just happened to kick on, as a matter of fact. Take that stuff out. Do some de-essing from time to time. I did grow up in the South, so I have problems with yeah, I got one of those things. So I require de-essing, and even with extreme de-essing, it's hard to get it all out. So anyway, that's what I normally use. And so for the 3 interviews that were inside, there was no problem. That dialogue sounded fantastic. Or inside, I'm sorry. The one at the pool, I got that, but the one with the Hefe, I'm talking the Hefe for goodness sakes. Okay. So I got to make that one right. So then I go down and I start looking and start saying, well, hey, there's an advanced version of RX. Wonder if it's got something in there that can really take out wind noise, or better yet, dialogue isolate. I learned a good one on that one. Okay. So anyway, I looked into it and I found out, okay, well, you can do that with RX9 Advanced. So how much is that to upgrade from my version? 799 or 699. It was $700 or $800. I mean, a freaking lot of money for something I quite frankly don't need. I don't need it. But then again, I'm freaking obsessed with doing everything better than everybody else when it comes to this stuff. Not for the sake of ego, but for the sake of I love the challenge. I want to do it great. And so I couldn't help myself for a minute. I lost my insanity. I went on a musician's friend who had a deal on it. I could do 48-month financing it on my card I've got with them and spread it out over a gazillion years and get to it pretty cheaply. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. All of a sudden, I get the email in my email a couple hours later with the license number and all that stuff. But in the meantime, and this is what I should have done first, and this is you, ladies and gentlemen, you should do these things soon. I didn't actually realize, because I already owned RX8, I didn't know I could actually demo, since I already owned it, the advanced version versus the standard, okay? Well, anyway, after a bunch of research, I actually found a link to it, and so I downloaded a trial version of RX9 Advanced, okay? Then, of course, I used the stuff in it, and voila, like a magic pill, baby. It was all gone. I mean, dialogue was crystal clear, perfect, okay? So then I realized that. But then again, I said, you know what? That's a lot of money for something I'm not likely to use much anymore. Because it's not like I use this video equipment for my professional world to make money and things like that. No, I use it for YouTube. That's what I use it for. And I don't have time, quite frankly. I can barely get these videos done. So anyway, when I had to do it right, I could not do it right. But then I kept saying, you know what? Maybe this is the time to settle, Barry. Maybe this is the time to settle, and maybe not on this one. Maybe just go back and take that inside shot that we did of the managing director, the Hefe, that fella I talked about a few minutes ago. Why not just use that inside shot that I could clean up with what I owned? And that's what I decided to do. Now, keep in mind, I have that email sitting in my inbox on my mail, okay? And I've not used it. I've not done anything with it, okay? Now, I've ordered software before, or plugins before, or something like that from Sweetwater, and I think I've done it twice over a gazillion years, okay? And I've done that, and as long as it wasn't used, they've allowed me to return it. Now, once they charged me a restocking fee because of the effort they had to put in to contacting the company to tell them to take that license number away, even though it never got used, it could have been used later, right? So I understand, I respect that. Well, musician friend wasn't hearing any of that. You got the email, buddy? You ain't getting nothing back. And I mean not squat, okay? Now, I could debate whether I think that's right or wrong. I can see both sides of the argument. I'm going to be fair on this one, but I've done a lot of business with these people, and they should have worked with me, okay? But I guess I'm just a number like you. If you think you're anything more than that, with most places, you're not. I'd say the only place that's not the case is Sweetwater. I've had nothing but outstanding experiences at Sweetwater in the past. So anyway, so the bottom line, I could not get my money back. And that crushed me. I mean, that crushed me. Because, that's another piece of hardware, or at least going towards it. I want to get a pair of the Audioscape Pultec clones. I want to get a pair of those bad boys. It can be like $2,200, $2,300 for a pair of them. And that money could have gone towards it, okay? But it didn't. So now I have $700 of software I'm very, very, very rarely going to use. Now, I have no doubt. Now, for the record, the videos turned out perfect. It did exactly what I wanted. I used all the shots that they wanted. All the audio was pristine and perfect. And I learned a lot of valuable lessons along the way. You learn more about lighting. Okay, I should have done lighting different in this situation. I should have done, my miking different in this situation. I should have done so many other things differently. So you learn and you never make that mistake again. Okay. And so that's trial and error. Remember I said learning is part of the journey, Studio Talk with Barry Johns, learning is part of the journey. Well, we're always learning and always push the envelope. So, what's the lesson to be learned out of my screw up? Okay. My screw up, the lesson to be learned is really do your due diligence before you jump head over heels into a purchase for audio, whether it's studio or whether I'm doing it was still audio, no matter how you looked at it, it was just another plugin. Okay. Do your research. Make sure that you really, really, really want it. But more importantly, make sure that you really, really, really need it. Okay. And so if you do, then make the arrangements and do what you need to do in the timing that works for you. If you don't, step away and let cooler heads prevail. Right. Understand that rash decisions often never go well in any of this stuff. And this one was a rash decision for me. I shouldn't have done it. I'm out $700 or $800. I can't remember whether it was $699 or $790, but still a crap load of money for something like that. Okay. If I was in the post production world, it would be worth it, but I'm not. Okay. I'm not. And so think about these things. But you know what? There's a lesson to be learned about what I did too. Okay. And a positive one. If I'm going to do it, it's going to do or it's going to be to the very best of my abilities. And if the very best of these abilities is not good enough, I won't do it. I won't do it. If they had said, no matter what, I don't care how bad that audio is on that outside. I don't care if he's the managing director or whoever he is or everybody else in the line between them and me. Okay. I would have respectfully said no if I couldn't do it right because it represents who I am. Everything you do in your studio represents who you are. Always, always, always take that serious. But don't screw up like I did, okay? So if you like the things I talk about here on this channel, hit that like button. Nope, nope. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell. So you get notified every time I've got a new video. And I appreciate you guys watching this channel. I want to apologize over the last week or so. I've not been able to make very many videos. Had a lot of distractions in my personal life. Crap gets in the way along the way. And end up having to post videos that I actually filmed months ago. All right, got a little bit of heat about one of them. I'm going to talk about that in my next video, okay? So anyway, have yourself a great day of no screw-ups where you have to suffer.